All right, so Conversion Lab today, July the 15th. Today's topic is profiting from non-leads. And I want to go through the three different ways in which you can profile, and then we can open it up for questions. So one of the many years ago, this is like in the early days of Lead Hook, there was someone that joined Lead Hook. They were doing some sort of pharma offer, some sort of pharmaceutical product. It wasn't like a Viagra, but something kind of Lipitor or cholesterol drug or something. But they were like a pharmacy or authorized to do it. It wasn't like some backyard dodgy stuff. And but they could only sell to you if you met a criteria, like, I guess the age, or you had some sort of insurance or whatever the question was. And if you didn't meet that criteria, then they would just take you down a different path of funnels. And that was the first time I saw someone. I'd done it when I was doing CPA offers, but I'd never seen anyone showing it or anyone else doing it. And I saw someone there taking even what I was doing to the real logical conclusion, which is like just keep making an offer until they quit. And so earlier this week, someone reached out to me saying, we're just losing too many leads and aren't qualified. What can I do? And I obviously, writing better ads and all that sort of stuff. I'll leave that aside as the potential solutions. But what do you do? No, not that you've got them. So let's say, for example, I don't know. Let's say you've done a bad media buying deal. Maybe you've done some sort of let's say solo ad or whatever, and you're just getting crap. You've already spent the money. What am I going to do here? Or perhaps something's gone wrong with your campaigns. You're just not getting leads. What else could you do with it? So it's really for that situation. Obviously, you still want to address that with better media buying and ads and creatives. But leaving that aside, what do you do? So I want to share that today, and a couple of things. Now, this also extends to I'm going to just put it profit from non-leads. But this also matches up to if you are doing CPA offers and you're doing a global CPA offer, you can do something very similar. So the simplest solution here would be to drag and drop the decision node to start with that, and filtering for your geo regions here. So at the bottom, go geo region, and I'm just going to pick country here. There you go, country code, and let's just pick I don't know, for argument's sake, let's just pick US if you're going for the US traffic. So US traffic, and let's another one since John's on the call today. Let's do Canada. All right, so geo, same thing, country code, and I believe there's CA, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's CA. All right, that's it. Cool. Let's pretend that's Canada. All right, so Canada, and this is split based on countries. So here what you can do is your US traffic, and so let's say, for example, this is a US funnel. So you would then go and drag and drop the US based funnel, because that's your primary offer. You're looking at going down this pathway, and so that's going to be so let's say you're doing insurance, so you're going to start asking questions about insurance here. For argument's sake, you've also worked out that because you live in Canada, you're running some Canadian offer as well, and you've also been able to tie up a Canadian insurance offer. So you will then pretty much take that person down the Canadian insurance. So I'm just going to label it. Let's just put information, and this is going to be insurance CA, or Canada, I should say. It's not California, Canada. And this one here is going to be insurance US. Now, this also applies to, so in the case of Paul, with the kind of campaigns you're running, you can do, England and Wales and Ireland and whatever else there, Scotland, if you wanted to. That could be the other kind of split you look at. And what it does, it gives you the first point of language to change. Perhaps the offer is a little bit different. Maybe there's legal requirements, or you can language the whole thing out, or whatever. There's many different reasons why you want to do it, with the main one being that the offer here may be different to offer here. Perhaps you're firing different pixels now because you don't want your US campaign to pollute your Canadian one, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of reasons why you want to do a country-centric campaign, especially for large-scale offers like insurance, debt, solar, refi, all that stuff. They generally tend to be very country-specific. So you would do it this way. And then everybody else, what are you going to do with these people? Because I know that sometimes when you start a campaign, at least in the case of Facebook, in some cases, you see up to 30% of traffic coming from outside your target area. So we don't want to, until you work out how to deal with that, what else do you do? Well, you can actually go and add and make an offer to these people as well. So what you do is you'd obviously do something very lazy to start out with, offer Vault. I'd go to offer Vault. If you have a favorite CPA network that you are part of, then you feel free to pick something up from there, and you can literally just go and to your heart's content, kind of pick the best offer that you find. There you go. I'm not sure what this oh, there you go. There's a Bitcoin crypto, some kind of crypto offer, 41 countries. So there you go. I'm not sure how appropriate, but let's just say that's going to be something that potentially is not too far off where you are. But what you want to do is obviously, so let's say, for example, you do want to do crypto now because you realize, listen, that's the only thing I can run now. Unfortunately, these people don't qualify for this. So you won't be able to do insurance because it's the rest of the world. You won't be able to do debt because it's the rest of the world. There's very little global type debt offers, usually very country specific. So you're left with essentially either make money, biz op, health, those sort of things remain. So this pathway is going to be down that way there. Now, let's say if the original ad that you are running is about insurance, then the very first note here saying, oh, oops, looks like you're not from US or Canada. However, you know what, there are other things that we can, so you can literally go down and you profile them. Do you have, are you in university? Do you have a desire for more money? Do you have any health issues, so on and so forth. At first, I thought this was never going to work. And this is because I never stretched it that far, like insurance to health. It doesn't make any sense until I saw that farmer funnel where they actually didn't care. They're like, well, we're paying for this anyway. I need to do something with this traffic here. And they just drove it down. And so what they did was they picked, I don't know, I'm not sure what CPA network they were using or which ones they were using, but they literally just went down the list and they picked all the top performing offers that are remotely appropriate. Crypto is probably a bad one. Maybe something a bit more generic, health, or perhaps some sort of financial newsletter type of an offer that probably could be better. Maybe there you go. There's a PayPal, $10 sweepstakes. Those kind of things would probably be a bit more appropriate here. And what you do is you drive them down that pathway to profile them to see if they qualify for any one of these. If they qualify for this, you basically redirect them to the CPA offer. Now, in that example there, and I've run funnels when I was doing skincare offers in where they didn't qualify. I actually did on some weeks as much revenue on the offshoot or whether the unqualified traffic as you did from the qualified traffic. So it's not something you want to necessarily ignore, and something you want to start on day zero. But if you've already built a funnel out, so my recommendation for most people is to build out that other funnel as a totally separate one. And then what you can do is you can just redirect that person to that funnel. So let's say, for example, you've already got a DT that's already set up with all the different offers and all that sort of stuff. You just want to go redirect to sort of, I don't know, non-leads funnel. And you would add in the URL right here of wherever you're hosting that particular funnel and make it immediate redirect and save. And that's it. So that person immediately is removed. You won't fire a pixel here, or you could fire a pixel here and then redirect. And what that pixel would do would be to fire a negative audience pixel, as in an event, a lead event, or some other event that you want to put as a negative audience, so that you can get less and less and less of these people being targeted here. Or otherwise just leave it as is if you want to test this thing out and go to that other funnel and have that person basically, yeah, that's it. That's all you're going to do. Now, the cost of this is very, very little, because whenever you have unqualified people, you would take that one URL and you would shove everybody down into that URL right there. So let's say you're running some other offer, and anyone who's not qualified goes directly there. You can do it at the state level. You can do it at the country level. You can do it at pretty much, it sort of scales at any different levels that you want to. And that's a really easy way of just getting of trying to get monetize those people. But that's inside the DT. But this is like layer one. Now, layer 2 is obviously going to ask you a whole bunch of questions about insurance, right? You're going to say, are you a smoker, non-smoker, age, in the case of insurance, or whatever your market is. And at some point, you're gonna realize that even based on these answers, this person is not qualified. So you're gonna do something very similar. You're gonna put a decision node out here, except I'm gonna split based on usually we put like a DQ here. So that's a disqualified person. This is someone you can't give to your sales team, or you can't give to your client for whatever reason, right? They're way outside of, like, let's say you're doing a debt offer that's only for homeowners, and this, you just realize the person's a renter. So then what you could do here is, I'm just going to get rid of our previous answers. This is where you start asking the splitting off the qualifying question. So here it would be either based on the question, the answer they gave, or it could be based on a custom field that was filled out, or whatever. So I'm just going to pretend that the score here is less than 30. And you obviously can mix it up here, right? So it could be questions and answers and or combination thereof, right? So these are US DQ. Oops. US DQ. Right, save. Oops. Get rid of that. All right, save. And save. Now you do something very similar in all the other pathways, so on and so forth. So they've answered a bunch of questions, and now they've ended up here. What you could do is those who qualify, you could then push them directly to that one, or you could create a separate one for your US disqualification, because obviously a US-based person is probably worth a bit more to you. You maybe have relationships that you can leverage off, or perhaps there could be other offers that are just not available in CPA networks that are very country-specific. So I would not necessarily send them over here. So we can change the name to this one. You can say this is non-US and Canada. Right, so this is everybody else that's ends up running into a funnel from somewhere else. But now I'm going to do something very similar, and I'm going to have my DQ for my US-based traffic. And this could really be going into some other part of the business you're working on. So let's say you've got solar, and maybe you're doing, I don't know, some energy saving, grant or something, or whatever. You could literally send these people directly there. But the choice is yours, because now you've learned a bit more about them. They've answered a bunch of questions, and so you've got an understanding of a profile of where is this person most likely to convert, and you can redirect them to different places, right? And so that's the other way to do it. And this here I would be redirecting to my in this case it's going to be a US based, not non-US. It's going to be my US based funnel, and create any of these as you want as well, right? So that's kind of like inside the DT what you can do in terms of how you move people in different directions based on questions and answers, and based on where they came from. Now, obviously, the other thing you can do is, because they're coming from specific countries, all this extra data is available to you, not necessarily to split people up with, but you do have inside LeadSource itself, because of the custom fields, you've got the geo data available, you've got the device data, so you can actually populate that on the top banner. Special offer for people who reside in the province or the state or whatever. You can add that as an extra level of personalization because of the data that's already available to you. All right. So any questions on this? This would be sort of, obviously you can build as many pathways as you want. So what I wanted to show you is that what you can do is you can put a decision node, and you say, do you have a home loan, right? And so it's going to be, let's say, home loan. So let's say this is the home loan, and I'm just going to put anything here. This is home loan equals yes. So this is obviously answering the question yes and no. Maybe I'll do that actually. So grab that and drag and drop that, and have multiple choice. All right. So, do you have a home loan? And I would go yes here, and no here. And do the show answers in the canvas. Click that option and add that here. So when you redirect, or you come down the pathway, you're going to build in the same funnel. If they yes, you don't need this. If they yes, then they redirect to the home loan offer, or you present the home loan offer, or wherever that's going to go. And then they carry on to the next question. And that could be something on the lines of, I don't know, are you buying pharmaceuticals, for argument's sake? Let's say if you've got some pharma offer to give them, or some sort of pharmacy offer to give them, are you on any pharmaceutical? Are you looking for any pharmaceutical? Are you looking for discounts on pharma products? And then similarly, you'll have yes and no there, right? So if they say, so that person goes here, same thing. If they say yes, then you would redirect them to the pharma offer like this, and then you move on to the next one. So in the one that I'm talking about, what they did was, so I used to do like maybe 3-4 levels. They did like about 6, 7, or I believe 8 or 9 levels. I can't remember what they did, but what they did was they put the highest value at the top and the lowest value at the bottom, and that's all they did, and they repeated and they just left it there. And so anybody who just was disqualified would automatically go and see these other things. And I'd never seen it being done to scale, where they were doing it for pretty much pharma. Like I remember the last offer they had for the non-leads was, you want to join a sweepstake or something. They're like, yeah, listen, if I can get a buck out of this guy, I'll take it. And that's a really, really nice. It's a really but no one ever thinks about it. It's like, oh, you know what? That's not my lead. I'm just going to throw it away. But but what if you were getting 15-20% back from all the accumulation of this? Or what are you getting 30% back from all of this, right? All of a sudden, this side just helps bring down your CPA on the main side of the business, because it's subsidizing the other side. This is traffic that you probably were going to throw away anyway, or not, you couldn't do much with it. Now all of a sudden you're monetizing it in some other way. And I'm just showing you sort of a couple of ideas on how deep you could build this. Obviously, if you are someone who's just doing CPA marketing, so I'm not going to assume everybody here has a business to sell to, or doing lead gen as selling leads, you could actually quite literally just pick up all the offers that you want and map them from the most universally applicable to the most specific, because obviously the most universally applicable means that you could throw any generic traffic at it, and you would see someone qualify for it in some way. Like some things like home loans or car payments and those sort of things. They pretty much apply to anybody and everybody. Pharmaceuticals, those sort of thing. And then you would then niche down to someone who wants 6-pack abs, because obviously age would be one of the criteria you ask. And the best way to do it is probably just to list out the offers that you want, and just get ChatGPT to put them in the order, and then you can just give it a once over. Just make sure that it's giving you the right outcome. But that would be like this. What I would do in 2024 would be to just shove the offers in ChatGPT, 15-20 of them, and saying, hey, could you just order them from top to bottom? And what are the kind of questions that allow me to qualify into each one? And there would be your questions done, and that's it. So it's literally a funnel that takes a bit of a while to get the offers in and all the links and all that stuff done, because there is some work required there, obviously. But it's not like, it's like brain dead work. So you can get a VA just pull all that out for you, and then put it all here, and all you're doing is just redirecting out to the different offers that are available. Any questions on this?
No, just a quick right there, microphone. Oh yeah, it's on. Just a quick one regarding how you can spread them out. Obviously, lead bite to kind of distribute into different, but could you do it with just postal codes as well? Could you go that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Obviously, there'd be a lot of entering, but you can do it with postal codes.
Yeah, absolutely can. So if you are gonna, let's take the postcode question to the nth degree. Let's say you've got every postcode in the UK listed, and some sort of offer related to at the postcode level, right down to one postcode each in the UK, because you got I don't know, about 6 million postcodes or whatever they are. Obviously, yeah, many more than the US. You could actually just make an API call into a Google Sheet, and it could bring back the URL of the offer itself, and you would replace that in the redirect here. So your redirect, in the case of where you're doing a postcode level offer, let's say you theoretically, let's say 6 million postcodes, and you're doing a separate offer at every postcode. Obviously, the theoretical argument here, but totally doable. You can actually do that. You just have 6 million lines sitting in a Google Sheet, and a URL against each one of them. And then in this case, you would bring back that URL in the API call, and this would sit something like this, like URL. That's it. And so what would happen is that URL will get replaced by whatever came back from any third-party platform. Now, that could be Leadbyte, could be LeadProsper, could be a Google Sheet, could be another CRM, could be another CPA network. Doesn't really matter. A URL is a URL. We can grab them from anywhere, and you can replace that right here. And that, yeah, so to answer your question, yes, absolutely. In reality, what you would do is you would probably have, postcode ranges, and your Google Sheet would just make a lookup of the table that you had and bring back the appropriate offer as well. Now, that's at a postcode level. You could do it state level, zip level. You can. I had someone who built an insurance one. This was interesting. Because different insurance companies have got different pricing for different types of people, what they were doing was ensuring that the lowest price is available for the person. So let's say if you're a smoker, then let's say insurance company A is giving a better price this month or something or whatever. I'm not sure if that's the right way, the right analogy there, but something on those lines. And what they had was they were just making, so they had a VA who would just update the URLs every Monday or every Sunday. And so the best offer would be available to the lead in real time based on what the pricing was every week, which also meant that once you've built this, you don't really have to mess around with it. You update Google Sheets with the URLs, which can obviously happen which can happen without anybody even knowing that the Google Sheet is being read by LeadTook. Actually, we've got a couple of people who are doing that at scale, because they don't want the VAs to have any understanding of what's going on here for privacy reasons or whatever. So what they do is they have all that running in a Google Sheet. They just tell, hey, listen, every week just come and update the Google Sheet. But there's no visibility as to, it just looks like a sheet with a bunch of URLs. And then not realizing that LeadTook is actually making an API call into the Google Sheet to pull it back, which obviously they don't have any visibility of. So it's a nice way to keep your business rather private than to add everything inside here, which also means you don't have to worry about logging in here. Once you've built it, don't touch it if you don't want to. And obviously URLs do change, offers do change, all that stuff does change. Manage and maintain that in the Google Sheet itself or some sort of third-party database, and have LeadTook just reading it in real time. And so whenever something changes, LeadTook always will pick up the latest URL instead of, oh crap, that offer ran out. What do? I got to log in here, change this, change that. It just makes it easy where you're separating the expiry of offers to the distribution of offers.
Nice.
Yes. Now that's the first layer. So this is where someone's actually come into your traffic source and they're actually doesn't quite work out, or is not appropriate for what your primary offer. Well, the second one is the post lead gen version. So this is the NDT one. The post lead gen one is where you've captured the lead and then it's been rejected, right? So you've either sold it in real time or it's been rejected by the client or the sales team or something along those lines. So they haven't gone through the sales process yet. You got the lead. So they came down this pathway, right? They came down the pathway where they qualified, and they came down here and they gave the name, email, phone number, so on and so forth, all the bits and pieces. And now you send it to the sales team and the client. They even bought the lead, and for some reason it's a duplicate or whatever. It's get rejected somehow. Well, what do you do with those guys? Okay, so those people, what you want to do is, I'm just going to put the DQ right here, is you want to make an API call for those people, or send it to some sort of a CRM. It'd be a webhook actually. Here you go, CRM or Google Sheet, both the same thing, something very similar. And what I would want to do in this case is put them into a Google Sheet or your CRM. So let's say, for argument's sake, in this example, you're third party, and you've got a Google Sheet you've got a CRM here, or a Google Sheet that you wanna send the data to. Oops, let's just and so you're gonna send it there. That's yours, and not the client one, because you want to send the client further down. So you're saving it on your side before you're sending it to the client itself. And now the clients come back and said, they don't want it, or they want to reject it, or whatever. Well, what else can you do? Well, there's two ways of doing it. Number one is that you can actually make an API call into now some lead distribution platforms do offer this as part of their feature. You make an API call to the lead distribution system. So let's look at that scenario first, and it comes back to see whether it's bought or not. And if it comes back, if it's bought or not, then you can actually do a decision node again, and you can actually send it back. There was one lead distribution system that I saw recently where they are sending it to the same lead distribution campaign, but that particular platform allows you to have a minimum price. So let's say you've captured the lead and you want to sell them for, let's say, $100. So you set the variable to minimum price $100. It'll actually do a ping post against all of the buyers and say, listen, is anybody want to pay here more than $100? No, it comes back into LeadZook, and LeadZook just makes another API call. This time they're selling it $75. Is there anybody here who wants to buy for $75? None. It gets rejected. It comes back to LeadZook. And obviously that's happening in real time. It's just rolling back and forth until the very last offer was, listen, does anybody want to give me more than $1 here? And so there's a sliding scale of pricing. And I'd never seen it being done at scale. And so this was a very interesting funnel to look at, where someone is trying to monetize their leads at the highest price possible by not just saying, hey, is someone going to buy, but essentially setting a minimum price, saying, you know what, my minimum price is $100. Anybody out there want to buy? And it's slowly sliding down. So there are about 10 or 15 nodes just sending back pricing, saying now $100 or more, rejected. $90 or more, rejected. $60 or more, rejected. $50 or more, rejected. And they're looking to just make sure that and that's a really, really smart way of having the market clear out every lead at the most appropriate or the highest price possible. So, because obviously anybody who's interested in paying more than $100, they'll pay more than $100. And let's say, for argument's sake, out of every 100 leads, let's say you liquidate 50 at that price. Well, the next thing would be like, well, you know what? I want to maximize my price for the 90 that remain. Great. I'm going to send those 90 to who's willing to buy here for more than $90. And let's say you liquidate another 10 or 15 leads, and it comes back and say, well, okay, well, I've got 80 left now. Okay, out of the 80, he wants to buy for more than $50 or whatever the next price point was. And that's a really, really nice way of doing it in real time, a profit maximization by maximizing the price at which your leads are going to get liquidated. That's a pretty slick way of setting it up. I've never seen anybody set that up like that, but that was a very unique setup. Obviously, that means you have many clients you're working with, or perhaps you're working with a third-party system that is sort of aggregator sitting on the other side, and so you're trying to make sure that you're selling for the highest price possible. And they've literally created a stock market exchange kind of a system to make sure that the assets get sold at the highest price possible. All right, so that's one way. The other one is now the lead comes back and says rejected. Okay, well, you can do something with that person now. So obviously nobody wants it. Well, what are you going to do with them? Well, you can say, I'm so sorry, nothing qualifies. You can redirect that person to one of these types of funnels again. So you can have another funnel sitting. It could be the same one, but usually not the non-country specific one, because that's for the non-US, non-Canada in this case. But you would kind of have one that looks a bit like that one there, and you would then redirect that person to back here. So while we thought they were qualified, but we didn't get any buyers for it, or after getting the name information, they were rejected, and you could actually send them right here. Now, the reason why you send them to your own CRM right here, because sometimes you'll find that information out after 24 hours or 64 hours or 90 hours or whatever. And obviously that person's not waiting around on your DT, but you've got the details. You've got the name, email, phone number, and provided your permissioning has been set up properly, that allows you to communicate with them, then you could actually SMS and email them into a DT and then get that to liquidate that way, right? So that's your lead that essentially forms same principle, except we're just changing where in the funnel we are doing the post lead gen profiteering from these non-leads. And the last one is the sales one, which is you've seen Dan recently plugged that pretty heavily, where you can build an AI type bot and you're doing SMSing to see, hey, are you still interested in buying insurance, so on and so forth. That's one way of doing it. But despite doing all that, you'll still see So usually it's like, let's say 100 leads, 10 buy within the next 30 days, 60 days. You're probably going to get another 10, if not some percentage of that, once you do this, any of the other subsequent connection. That still leaves a good 60, 70, 80% still that haven't bought. Those ones, I'm not too sure about the GDPR rules in the UK. I'm sure there's some way around it. But what we're looking to do there is the joint venture would have to be done, or in the UK basis anyway, a joint venture done. Because obviously you're using somebody else's leads that you sold them. You would actually say, hey, listen, can I get those leads back, and can I monetize them in some way? Since they are real leads looking for certain solutions, maybe there's a way to reposition them in some other way, either back to the primary offer and or one of the other funnels that look a little bit like the one that we shared here. So the point here being is that the non-leads funnel in most businesses should not occupy a lot of time, but you should not also ignore it, because even if it gets you 10 or 15% of ad spend back, that's a significant amount of cash that you can reuse in some other way. Ultimately, it's reducing your cost per acquisition of the leads that you are grabbing. But there's a fourth reason, I guess, why you want to do it, is because it ends up becoming a market research tool that goes back to improving your main funnel, actually. Because you finally realize, hang on, this is the kind of stuff they are connecting with. This is the kind of things they're converting with. You can use that information to build out a business around that. So let's say if you're doing financial planning, you always thought I was just going to insurance, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, hang on, there's a whole bunch of people who want health insurance, not just life insurance or funeral insurance. All of a sudden, you expanded your funnel into these other areas, because that's teaching you a bit about who these people are and what their other needs may be that are not being met. So it can very much be used for that purpose, and then taking the data that you learn out of these people that are not converting and going and changing back all the funnels and all that other stuff that we've been speaking of the last couple of weeks, to go and change that, so you get less and less of those unqualified people. But it's important not to just ignore that, because in most funnels, 90-95% of the people are not going to buy. So what can we learn about them? Now, obviously, most of them are not in market, and that's absolutely correct, and that's going to happen in every business. But can we learn something from them so we can make that not in market a little bit smaller? Instead of having 95%, maybe we can bring it down to 85% or 90%, or whatever, some smaller number. Because that little move is going to make a massive difference in the cash conversion cycle, or the cash flow, the economics of the business changes if you can move that needle. And I don't think a lot of people realize that if you can reduce the number of non-leads coming into your funnel, it changes the entire front-end economics of the business. And so it's important to pay attention to that. It doesn't look like much. It's like, oh, it's only from 95 to 90, but percentage-wise, it's 7-8% right there of the lead cost. Changes the game. Also changes how you're targeting, or how you're training the pixel to not send you certain groups of people. Right. So that kind of concludes this part around all we're doing here. So this week, it's not like anything revolutionary, except that it's just ignored. I've maybe run into 3 people who have bothered doing anything about this sort of stuff. I think with Dan's promotions and sort of messaging around the AI bot thing to go and monetize old leads. Really, that sort of reinvigorated the entire industry, or at least some part of the industry, to go and monetize that. But that's all this is. It's just going back to these old people and saying, hey, are you still in the market for whatever it is that you're in the market for? So in a slightly slicker way, where the AI is responding back in via messages.
Nik, in that genre, like say you're 10,000 insurance leads and they're 3 months old, and maybe they've never gone through any kind of a decision tree. I mean, the premise of using the bot, you're making some probably special offer to
Correct.
try to entice them. It would almost
Yeah.
make more sense to take that list and send them through a decision tree to find out more about them, and then
To see
you could
why. Yeah.
why and this and
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
they could probably be
So-
segmented, and then send, if they qualify, just send them right to the bot through an SMS or another email to start them off.
Correct.
Because you start SMSing a lot, getting a lot of failures, there's probably going to be risk of screwing
Yeah.
that
All
channel
right. So
up. And
I have something to say about the whole thing. So I'm just going to pause here. This one requires a pause. Resume. The half-life of the lead is the highest, is literally, it starts dropping off, right? It decays. The value of the lead starts decaying within minutes, actually. And so yeah, you're right. If you have a nurture sequence right up front, there's really no need for any of these SMS type or any of these ultra backend. I mean, you could probably throw it in there at some point. It's like, you know what, maybe I'm going to get an extra 2% out of this at some point. There was an insurance company that I think I shared this in one of the calls, where they had like a 14-day sequence, and they're like, surely no one's still interested after 14 days. That's what they believed, right? And I said to them, I said, no, man. I said, how many times have you decided that you got to go get something, and then life happens, right? You got to go on a trip, the kid gets sick, something, and then you go back to it 6 months later or whatever, 5 months later. And one of the directors or one of the senior guys on the call was like, it happened to me last week for, I don't know, some school play thing or whatever. They wanted to go somewhere. And he goes, yeah, we've been planning it for months, and then, something else. I said, that's exactly right. I said, a lot of these things are super important, but not urgent. And I said, super important, non-urgent stuff always gets pushed back by some percentage of your population.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature of the beast there. So, but I say, if you understand that and you're respectful of that, you can build out much longer term nurture sequences. In fact, the classic example was John McCarthy's funnel, where you can't actually sell anything on day zero. Like there is no front end. The idea that I'm going to have a front end funnel that's going to liquidate itself doesn't exist, because no one's going to look at an ad and go and get an operation done on the day of the Facebook ad. Because I remember the first time he called me up, he goes, "Man, everyone's interacting. I'm getting the leads, but nobody wants to buy." And I said, "What are you selling?" He goes, "Oh, it's a medical procedure." Yeah, I said, "I don't know." I said, "How many people do you know? They want to look at a Facebook ad and go and get operated tomorrow morning." I said, "Probably no one." I mean, maybe someone who's in the augmentation market or whatever, who's desperate for something, but outside of that very small cohort, I said most people would want to make a considered decision of some sort. And so take it. So don't give them time. Let's do a 30-day, 9-day sequence, and all of a sudden the funnel started working.
He just needs to book assessments. Once he's got assessments booked, then he's going to start getting surgeries.
So remember, in his funnel, there were people who were buying 9 months out. Yeah. And all they did was just SMS and email them from 9 months or whatever it was. I think it was 1 SMS a week or something, and the rest of it was 1 or 2 emails a week. But what made the difference there, and this is Paul, because this is right up your alley, is he created a character from the doctor's surgery or whatever it was. Who was the patient's advocate, and they would Jenny or whatever the character they created, and she would always want to look after you, and hey, oh, by the way, I just want to share something, whatever, so and so came around, and what was smart there, and I don't know if John ever did this. I spoke to him about it. I said, match the weight and the height they're giving you to the weight and the height of the patient that's had a successful result. And you can say this, hey, listen, he is whatever, he's Tina, and Tina, well, he's 175 centimeters too, and just weighs like whatever, and look at her now. So, I mean, talk about suggestive.
Clever. Yeah.
It's getting to the dark side here, but anyway, that's you get the idea. You're really resonating, by showing an exact replica of you, basically, in a very short way. Yeah. So anyway, that worked really well, and that's essentially what he ended up selling with a bunch of other assets that he had. So long story short, this nurture stuff really matters, especially when you want to do it at scale, because all that revenue that comes back obviously helps you get lower CPA. Get lower CPA allows you to bid more than your competitor, and so on and so forth. And that's the that's the reason why you want to do this. Obviously, a very crude version is this bit here. You can just shove any offer down their throat. But over time, as you start learning more and more about what's actually going on, you might realize, well, hang on a second. There's a rather large unserviced need here that we're seeing in the data, but I didn't realize actually existed. And so it could introduce ideas for either new business opportunities within the business itself, or perhaps something that you offshoot somewhere else, if the primary business is not interested or appropriate for what you're doing, or you're like realizing, wow, I didn't realize so many people out there who are buying pharma products or whatever. All of a sudden, like, hey, listen, is that an industry that I should be looking at? Like those sort of things. And perhaps you decide not to because you look at it like, nah, it's not viable. I just want to stay focused on what I'm doing, which is great. But it allows you to have that conversation and have that discussion rather than being in the blind, not realizing that. And in reality, really good opportunities show up like that, where you're just doing something else and something comes up and like, hey, what the hell is that thing? And you go down the rabbit hole and you realize, whoa, there's something else here that I had never even heard of or seen. Let me double down on that.
You could have one question too, like in that top funnel.
Yep.
The top, whatever the market is, if it's insurance, if there's one kind of a qualifying question, like say it's life insurance, and you get their age, and do you see a cardiologist? One simple question, yes or no. Well, if it's yes, then you can go all the heart products.
Yeah.
Now you've got to focus.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I haven't mentioned today, but the whole market research angle as part of your primary decision tree. Absolutely, a lot of people don't do that, but I've seen a few recently have started adding those questions in. Is what property to buy today, or what is the main reason for doing whatever X, and so that starts giving you some indication of what the primary motivations are, such as and then you can introduce those things either as a storyline in your ads and all that kind of stuff. I find those to be the most credible when you're running ads, is when you take the data and you go like, oh, well, I can't realize that like because my partner had a heart attack is why I'm going to get life insurance. And so all of a sudden that data point shows you that the catalyst or some percent of the audience is through an event.
Yeah.
And so now you introduce event-based conversations in your ads. So it gives you another layer to the marketing that you hadn't thought of. Right.
Interesting.
Anyway, any other questions on any of this sort of stuff or anything else?
Nick, just a quick one on that, building on what John said. If you were to kind of ask the question about heart, as opposed to just dropping it in the DT, could you effectively remarket your remarketing campaign from that information and specific ads about cardiologists, or no, about heart supplements, etc., in Facebook? Or could you kind of
absolutely, because they've just put their hand up saying I'm interested in heart stuff.
That's it. Yeah, this is just a remarketing campaign, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
like just building an audience around that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And that allows you to validate whether that offer, even with remarketing, works or not. And if that's the case, now you can go like, whoa, hang on a second. There's a whole extra market in here that I can look at. But the other thing you can do is introduce that heart issue or heart type stuff in the insurance ad itself.
Yeah.
Like
that's
through a story.
That's your hook and your angle. Yeah.
Nik, have you looked at or seen anybody doing like inside a decision tree, or looking at like on a Google AdWord or something, having a chatbot right there available to answer any questions, and even having like.
So you mean to say that there's a real human being on the other side that's waiting to answer calls?
I guess you could do that, but I mean, some of the AI agents you probably wouldn't need to. But
Yeah.
it was just through a client that was getting a lot of. Uh, they're running Google ads in the real estate space. Just low conversion. Now their page needed a little bit of work. They're doing a form fill, and
Yeah.
my thought just to start was um, to start asking some questions to help them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that in
Okay,
the
yeah,
decision
yeah.
tree.
So I have, except okay, so the stuff that you do where you're like, hey, are you still interested in insurance, which is a back end thing, the conversations are quite narrow in nature because all
Yeah,
you're trying to do is get them to book a call, right?
yeah,
So the outcome is book a call. So you're going from, are you interested in whatever X? And then you're basically saying, hey, you know what? Hey, oh, cool. You should book a call. You should book a call. And that's literally it. Yes, I want to book a call. That's it. So the conversation does not the parameters or the boundary conditions of the conversation is quite tight. I can't let you go anywhere except to book a call or to not book a call. That's it. The issue with what you're mentioning is that with the agents and as are conversing, that conversation can go in a few different directions, including, well, what ingredients does your stuff have that the others don't? And all of a sudden, the bot will start making stuff up, or it needs to be. Let's put it this way: it needs to be a much better bot than the SMS type strategy where you're trying to get someone to book a call. So book a call, tick. Anything beyond that, the hallucination factor is still a little bit too wonky. We've been playing around with it with a couple of things. So there's a few things that I'm playing around with uh, to control hallucination, and it's using like knowledge graphs and graph databases and all that kind of stuff, which is a whole different topic for another day. That's something we're working on internally actually to release something to make it easy for you to do that. Actually, that's all. I'm well aware of the challenge that people are facing, and I also know what the solution is. We just want to make sure that the solution is not going all over the place, especially for something as serious as perhaps a medical thing or insurance thing or whatever. And you'd need a client with with brass balls to
I've
unleash.
I've been
Yeah,
experimenting a bit with you train the bot. The goal of the bot is to book an appointment, get
yeah.
their name, their address, their
Okay, okay. If that if that's the case, then yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So
and then
so
they'll
we've got a
answer the
note coming out. So we've got a
yeah,
note coming out soon that actually allows you to do that. Essentially, what you're doing right now with SMS, we'll just move that inside the DT itself. So answer a bunch of questions, and you're like, oh, cool. These people are ready to have a conversation with. We're gonna move them into an AI node, just like a dragon. And that all that node does is just have a conversation around booking the call. And yeah, absolutely. Because I
and
get
that
it. There's no need for you to put them needlessly on a list and then SMS them on the back end. Why not just do a conversation on the front end without SMS? So you save yourself a couple of £2,000 a week or whatever it is in SMS charges. You might
yeah,
as well just send them to a DT.
yeah, because if you can get them engaged with the bot, and I'm looking at like I started to use say Go High Level, you could
Yeah.
take all these fields that it starts engaging with and create custom fields.
Yes.
So it's all in there, and now you've got all that data from the decision tree rate.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, I would assume your bot's collecting it, and that
Yep.
could almost be mirrored right into Go High Level. So you're way ahead, and now you can
Yeah.
your next decision tree
Abs-
or
abs-
outreach is it's all segmented. You're tagged on both sides.
Absolutely. But John, just to bear some bad news here, it's going to be very difficult to find a client who's that organized.
No, I know. I mean, like the stuff about the TTs. I was just listening to a guy who's got a lot of experience in it, and he said, "Screw all this. Most businesses just need some help with, plugging the leaks. You fix all that. The AI can do that fairly simply. Once you get that, then you can do database reactivation. And at 90% of businesses that are
Okay.
say under,
Yeah.
it's 20 to 30 to 40 people. And for most businesses, that's life changing if they can get 4 or 5 extra clients a month.
Yeah. Yeah,
Just,
no, I'll be honest with you. I met the insurance company, right? And these guys are spending like 5 mil, 7 mil a month in just
Yeah.
ads, right?
Yeah.
And this is just like one agency that I was working with.
Yeah.
God knows what the offline expenditure was on TV ads and radio ads and direct mail and all the other crap that they would have been doing. And it was so disorganized. I said, hey, can you send me like just a list of all the people who came from Lead Hook that went and bought something? And I literally got some system A send me just the sales information, system B send me something else, and literally you have this data collating, aligning problem, and you literally spend hours and hours and hours in a Google sheet to get everything all organized, or some database solution to get it all organized, so that now you can analyze it, and that to me, and that's the reason why they never done anything, because they are so broken in terms of how the data is collected, that yeah, I guess the solution would be if someone can just put everything in one place, man. There's millions of dollars sitting right there in revenue generation if someone could just get things organized. And the weird part is, now here's the weird part. They all know what to do, actually. It's just nobody wants a failed project, which is a career-ending move.
Yeah, they don't want to take responsibility.
And so that kind of like remains as it. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say every business is in that boat, but there was a great reluctance to really embrace a project of this type, because it was so open-ended in a lot of respects. It's like where do you start, man? Where do you start? Like, I've got 4 different platforms to work with. I don't know, who do I hire? Who's my first hire? Like, who do I get? So they go to people like, Accenture or Ernst & Young Consulting or whatever, and then they hire like the hired guns behind the scenes to go do all the work and charge an arm and a leg for it. So unfortunately, that prices out, small to medium type businesses that really need this even more. So anyway, that's that's the reality of the situation. So John, yeah, you're right. Like, hey, can you just put my leads into one place with the right custom fields? that would be a win.
It sounds like it sounds like volume 2 of the traffic course.
Yeah, it's honestly, it does my head in sometimes. I jump on the call. I've been barking about this stuff for 2016. I'm like, I got no more to say about on the topic. But the actual use and application of it in the real world is actually still very, very low. So there's a marketing event I presented a couple of weeks ago, and these are like the top agencies of Australia. Like, it's like there were some top agencies there, and I finished my talk and I explained all the stuff that we went through the last couple of weeks, and I said, all right, put your hands up if you do client side and server side and deduplication, and not a single hand went up. So I said, how many of you use pixels? And like 80-90% of the room or whatever went up. Great. Okay, cool. How many of you fire different types of lead events based on the value of the lead or the quality of the lead? And literally like kind of 4 guys left. All right. And it's okay, add server side to this, and like literally just 1 hand up. And I said, okay, now you also do deduplication. And literally there was no one there. And I was like, these are the people who are spending millions of dollars on behalf of their clients. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, like, I should just shut down this Lead Zook thing and just use it for building businesses.
Crazy.
Clearly, $900.
I got to get better at using it.
Yeah, it's an absolute game changer for people that are using it. Like I know that, in the case of Paul with you and Joss, and like that team is doing much more advanced stuff than most people that are out there. There's a couple of people that jump on these calls every so often. They're doing some advanced stuff, and as a result, they're hard to compete with. Yeah. There's one guy who was in solar. He was an 1820 mil, and then he's just gone into, I think it's flooring or windows or something or other, because there's and he's doing similar volume in that vertical now.
Mm.
And I know he's gonna, when he goes to the next vertical, he's gonna do something very similar, because what he does, he's just a data nut, and knows I got to do client, I got to do server, and I got to do duplication. And he's not even like his lenders don't have anything fancy. Like, if you go to a lot of these, info marketing, the Facebook groups, people talk about copy this and copy that and psychologists and persuasion that, and yes, those things do matter, and they even matter in lead gen. But it doesn't matter as much anymore if you can get all the other bits and pieces right.
Yeah.
The issue is that nobody can even get the tracking right, and so they focus on things like, oh, Nick, you know what? I'm getting a 90. I'm getting a 87 in my Google page speed score. Why aren't I getting 100? You know, like, mate, even if I get 105, it's still not going to make any difference to your funnel. Your ads are crap, and then they're getting the wrong type of customer. So it doesn't really matter whether you have a Google page speed score of 5,000. It's still not going to get anybody.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, just to long story, yeah. So I think tomorrow, if not the day after, I'm actually releasing Persuasion SOS.
Personal what?
Persuasion SOS. Where
First Vision.
Yeah, because my last couple of sort of consulting gigs have been where people aren't just having the right conversation in the ads. I did like, just to give you a simple side story. I had there was one person reached out, and he wants to quit LeadZook or whatever, and I said, okay, what's the problem, and like in what way are we not working? So he showed me his funnel. He said, you know what, I'm just not getting the lead quality, and my client keeps getting angry, and I've lost half my clients, and so on and so forth. And I was like, okay, well, let's break this down, right? Let's break this down. That's the way. And yeah, so he was getting leads that were kind of like subprime in the debt space, but the clients are looking for prime leads.
Right.
And unfortunately, the ads said how you can buy a home for, I don't know, $500 a month.
Right.
Or whatever, like some small number, right? So I'm like, come on, dude. When are you gonna say that you can get a home loan for $500 a month? What are you gonna get?
Yeah.
Right. The idea that the conversation resonates with certain audience, certain people, certain types of people, and there's certain conversations that don't resonate with that. It wasn't even a thing to consider, actually. And I said, just change the ad, man. So what he was doing was, in order to fix it, he just kept putting more qualifiers in the DT. So the client said, oh, these are crap leads. So then he's like, income. And then next thing you know, there's credit rating. And then there's SMS verification. And then there's this and there's that. It's like 45 steps now, where he's trying to find the two people who somehow snuck in an ad that was all about subprime. And I said, I said, why don't you run a prime campaign to get a prime customer? I said, you can't run a subprime campaign and expect a prime customer.
He's running clickbait ads, and that's
it. It's just clickbaity stuff, and he's playing with the fact that my price is so low. And I'm like, yeah, well, price is so low, that's what you're gonna get. And so what he was getting new migrants who can't qualify. He's getting students who can't qualify. He's getting overseas students who can't qualify. He's getting everybody out there who really wishes they bought a house or whatever it was, some sort of debt thing, except the person that the client is looking for. And so it dawned on me, and this is not the first time, but it was kind of like this when I said, there's a whole lot of people there running ads that have never considered the psychology of what they're actually doing. They're just running ads because they saw some other ads manager ad saying something very similar. It's just copy and pasting. So anyway, yeah. So Persuasion SOS is all around how do you use AI basically to build a rich profile, and then how do you validate that by running a live campaign back to that. So yeah, it's essentially it's doing the heavy lifting of reading the ad. So it's almost like, take the ad and you ask it, what are the psychological triggers that are being used in the ad right here, and then you get an understanding of the customer base, and you say, well, does this match to that? And so all those sort of things. So that should be getting released. I don't know, maybe tomorrow or something. I'll run a promo for a week or so, similar sort of a thing, low price during the live training part. I've planned 4 weeks, but I don't know, it could go to 8. If that's 8, it's 8, whatever. But one of the other things I'm doing is I've actually documented almost 40 quiz funnels in all kinds of markets. So one of the things that I've been doing for the last 6 months is I'm only clicking like quiz funnels on Facebook. So Facebook targets me with just quiz funnels now. So, so my profile is yeah, it's in fact there's a whole story there about how powerful the AI is at Facebook that it knows I'm a quiz funnel clicker now, because literally it takes me 3 or 4 scrolls and I get a new quiz funnel. So I've documented solo one, debt, erectile dysfunction. I mean, you name it. Is I've got bring your ex back, yeah, a very large variety. Yeah. So there's about 40 of them now, and then there's enough of a variety. So what we'll be doing basically is asking the question is what are the psychological triggers that are being used in the marketing here, and how does it resonate with what the core need is of the market itself? And is there a delta there? So is there a difference between what the ad is talking about versus what this is talking about? And we piggybacking off the AI to give us what the profile should be. And so I've been playing around with really large prompts, to extract that information. And then, so essentially, here's what my profile looks like of the person. And then I'm saying, well, what's the match looking like of the conversation I'm having in the ad to who the hell this person is? Is there a mismatch? Because that's essentially what the conversation is here that a lot of people aren't having. Because I want to get prime leads, and then I run an ad for get the cheapest whatever home loan. It's like for $20 a month. Well, hang on a second. You do realize that the conversation you're starting with the market has got nothing to do with prime leads. Or what he was doing was a show like a house that really belongs like in a ghettoish area. And you're hoping to get prime leads. No, if you want to get prime leads, you want to show a slightly flashier house, right?
Yeah.
No. Right. So the point is that there's a whole lot of this psychological things that are missing. I've never, I mean, I've known about it for years, but I was kind of with all of the SOS courses. I do them, after getting nudged about 50 times. They're like, okay, crap, fine, let's go do it then. So, but yeah, it's probably the toughest course that I'll be doing, because I'm not sure how to teach psychological principles, but I've broken it down. I've been going through the literature. I've got tons of literature going right now. I've spent many 13-14 hour days going through to collating the information and then synthesizing is like, how do I teach the foundational material, and then say, okay, cool. This is how we're going to use AI to give us the foundational stuff. Because if I just give you a prompt, and if you're well versed in this area, then you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But if you're not trained enough to see what the hell we're looking at, it's not going to be a good win. It's going to be So it's not about the prompt per se. It's about really understanding the nuance of persuasion and psychology. And in a practical sense, not to become psychologist here. That's not the goal here. And then how does all this apply here? And then how do you apply those principles of psychology in your marketing? So anyway, so that should be coming out. It started off with literally like a 5-page thing, and then it's turned out to be almost like a 35-page sales letter now. So let's see. Getting it designed right now.
No, I should show. We just it's kind of in a soft launch. We just and I'm probably the main tester. It's a tool that does what you're talking about, like in the AdWords space. So we can look at like every search term, and every AdWords account, and compare it against all the competitors, like in a location, whether it's but you can. It's got a basic prompt, and then you can add in all your rules, like
perfect.
So for example, like in that mortgage space, words to avoid. Well, in this case, you wouldn't use cheap. You wouldn't use cheapest. I mean, if it was a subprime, you would have bruised credit. Words to avoid, perfect credit, like all that kind of stuff. So all those rules could be in. And like I pulled some results today on an account, and they were in remember that gastric thing, something like that. And we've got it's like a 70% conversion rate improving over 6 weeks.
Nice.
That's doing a few things. We should get on the call and I'll show it to you because
No, absolutely. Yeah. So
it's crazy.
So we're about to add some bot filtering inside LeadSook itself to get rid of some of the bot stuff that's happening. And so I wanted to make sure that I don't break anything in the sense that, because Google bot still needs to come and have a look at your ads, otherwise it won't approve your lander, it won't approve the campaign. And we had that problem last time where we blocked like every bot, including the Google Ads bot, and nobody could go live with the campaign. So anyway, so I wanted to make sure that we didn't kill every bot that's out there, which is not the point here. And so I just started a very short Google Ads campaign to one of the tracking DTs that we had, one of the poll that we created. And yeah, I was getting like 6 cents clicks because the click-through rate was about 30%. And
Wow.
it was, once again, it wasn't a campaign to run at scale. It was just to make sure that I was a bit surprised by the result. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And so anyway, so I paused it, and then over the weekend I've been working on, because I've been trying to work with a media buyer for like almost 18 months now, and nothing's really gelling in the copy sense. I always have to write the copy, and I was like, man, I gave you the task so I didn't have to write the copy. But if I'm gonna write the copy, then I might as well do the whole thing myself. So essentially, yeah. So kicking, screaming, I'm actually running, starting Google Ads and Facebook ads, in a new way of doing things. Like, yeah, previously I wanted to outsource a lot of things, but I'm just bringing everything in house, and I'm helping the team build out tools for me to make it easier for me to manage the whole thing. Anyway, I'll share a bit more of it later, on what we're creating. But essentially, that's the direction of where LeadSook is going, because I'm realizing that it's all so disjointed still. It's quite frustrating, actually. Even like someone just reached out to me and said, hey, can you build me a funnel? And I said, all right, who's your team? And he gives me like 6 different companies out there that they're working with. And I'm like, dude, we're not going to get anything done ever. So yeah, he's the owner, but then in fact, there's a really good copywriter out of the US, pretty famous, like the Gary Bensavenger level guy. He reached out to me, and he said, "Hey Nick, I keep hearing your name being thrown around. I want to do something." And he's working with a listed company, and we jumped on the call, and I saw the products, and the products look good. They got R&D department. They gave him all the material, this sort of stuff. And I said to him, I said, who are you going to be working with? And he said, oh, I'm working with this person and this person, this person. And I said to him, I said, I don't want to say anything bad here, but I said, I'll be very surprised if this actually gets off the ground. He said, oh, why do you say that? And I said, man, I've been in that world, and as soon as someone from outside comes in, people's toes start getting stepped on and all sorts of stuff, and you'll get sidelined very quickly, not because you're not effective, but because you effectively make them at some level appear to be either incompetent or whatever, like something in those lines. And so there's a very good chance where they'll try and block you. Otherwise, so let's say, for example, if you did do something and the campaign was good, then someone at the top is going to say, well, hang on a second. You mean to tell me this guy just came in 3 weeks, did this? Then what the hell are all of you guys doing here for the last 5 years?
Political.
That's
Absolutely.
That's a big company mentality.
Yeah. And so I said to him, I said, why don't you get buy-in first before you do anything? And then about 3-4 weeks later, he said, he just this one line. He said, Nick, you're right, and that was it. So the true solution in a lot of these cases, when you are facing these sort of challenges, is often really to just vertically integrate, man. Is to just go buy out the asset you want to play with. It's the only way. I'm reaching that conclusion. I think I probably worked that out 6 years ago or whatever, 7 years ago. when I started LeadTook, but it's become more and more apparent. There's very, very few companies out there where they will generally welcome you as a partner to help build the business. In most cases, either they'll find it a little bit too challenging, or at least the internal structure finds the external person a little bit too challenging.
Yeah, be like Google and just buy what you need.
Yeah, it seems that might be the next opportunity if OpenAI keeps doing what they're doing and all the rest of the AI stuff. So anyway, we'll see what happens.
I'll show you some of what we've been doing on that.
All right, done. Okay, all right, John. Well, maybe let's jump on a call later this week. Just give me a buzz.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, guys. Have a lovely afternoon, evening.
Okay. Thanks.
Paul,
Nick.
enjoy a few beers. Hopefully, you're gonna drown your sorrows in a few.
I had a couple last night. That's me done now for a few weeks.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good week.
Nick.
That's it.
All right.